Today, let's talk about a darning foot. Welcome, I do sewing and DIY related content, and today we are talking about a darning foot. So this is used on your sewing machine normally for embroidery, free motion quilting, or for darning or like patching holes that may be on your fabric. As you can see, it looks very different from your normal presser foot. There is an opening, and then it kind of goes up and down to help you with more of that free motion quilting style. So this is something that I've tried to work with a little bit before in the past, but I was really interested as this specific foot looked easier than the other darning foot that I have. So as you can see from the top, if you look directly down, you'll see there's a spot for the needle to go in. This is what this looks like compared to your regular presser foot. So definitely a big size difference, definitely a large kind of shape overall difference between the two of these, which means we have to do a little bit of a different setup. So going over to my sewing machine, you can see I've removed the presser foot. I am going to use the screw on the left hand side to unscrew this piece as well. So now I'm just left with like that main pole on my sewing machine, and now I'm going to put the screw into that little opening on the left hand side, and I am going to change this so that you'll be able to see the exact angle for what I'm doing here. So here you go, you can see here that I just have this sort of like held in place right now, and then I'm able to lift this up, and then the screw goes exactly in to where that opening was, so that I'm able to just screw this back in place. And then you can definitely use a screwdriver as well to tighten this up. Now on my sewing machine, it does automatically come left aligned, so you will want to center it, your needle, just because it makes it a little easier to make sure you're actually going through the opening. Now because of how this foot is, you do want to turn your feed dogs off. I know it's a little hard to see here. My machine has a switch on the back, so just turning those off, and then we are ready to go. Now if you do not have that switch, sometimes there's a plastic cover that you would put over your plate instead. So as you can see here, I have my fabric. Even when the presser foot's down, so you can see here it is up, and then I can move the fabric around, but then when I put it down, I can still move the fabric around. That is correct. So that is what you would want. And then I'm just going to turn the wheel on the side to put the needle down, bring it back up, and then I am going to bring that bobbin thread up as well, and just have both on the top. This makes it a little easier to get started. So now I'm going to go ahead and just very slowly begin sewing. So you'll see I'll do a few stitches, and then I did see that after some people do a few stitches, that they may trim the tails of the regular thread and the bobbin thread, so just as an idea, and then you're just going to use your hands to move your fabric around. So for this, there are no feed dogs moving the fabric. You have to do all of that work, which is how you can get some of those really interesting designs or shapes. So I'm just going to cut the tails off just as a way to make it look a little cleaner. You can see I have a couple loops right now, and then I'm just going to play around with this a little bit more. So I did some embroidering letters so that it says hello. I then used some chalk to write out the word fall. So a lot of different ways that you can use this, especially for decoration. And then you can also play around with different stitch types. So right now I'm actually using a zigzag stitch, and then I changed this back to a straight stitch to make almost like a little fuzzy cat. Definitely would recommend playing around with different stitches, seeing how they work with your machine, seeing how they end up looking. A lot of different ways you can use this. I know some people like to do one continuous stitch, and then that can give it a really fun look. You could also start and stop. It really depends on what you're going for. Overall though, I found this presser foot so easy to use, and it's really giving me so many ideas with the holidays coming up. So here was everything that I sort of made with it. You see my fabric was a little wrinkly, but the fall worked out really well. The cat I would need a lot more practice on, but it was definitely a good way to just see how different types of stitches would work with this foot. And then you can see there's lots of fun little embroidery techniques that you can do with it. So this foot was pretty easy to install. I will say that it was very easy to use and set up. I had no issues with any knotting or thread breaking, so I would highly recommend this foot if you are looking to really get into embroidery or doing free motion quilting, as it was very easy overall to kind of get used to this feel. One thing I would also recommend is to use different colors of thread. So on the front I used white, on the back I actually used black, and it looks really cool. So I feel like if you did like the same color of thread as your fabric, you could get a really interesting detail just because you'd be able to have that texture. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you want to see next. Thanks for watching.